to my first project as a brand ambassador for Graphic 45. For this project I've chosen to use Cottage Life. It's actually not really my colours, blues and pinks like this, but oh my goodness, it is just the prettiest, most gorgeous set of papers I've ever seen, so I couldn't resist but have a go. Anyway, what I'm going to do is just take you really quickly through this little book, and then I'm going to show you how to make it. There's two ways to make it. There's a super simple, quick and easy cheat way, and then there's a way where we're going to make all of our own bits and pieces from scratch. But bear with me and you'll see as we go through. Now, the book itself is a little bit of an odd size, and the reason that it's an odd size is because of the way that it's made. It's actually made from a whole load of envelopes, and I can't find my ruler, so I'll have to use this just to show you that it is 8.5 by 5 inches. And the size that you make it very much depends on the envelopes and what you've got, but it's all about kind of being a little bit out of sync, a little bit mixed up, I guess. It's not a formal book at all. It's just full of little interesting nooks and crannies, I would say. Now, I'm not one for using ribbon usually, but I couldn't resist with this. I've used a sort of a light blue organza here just to keep that all tied together, and because the papers themselves just totally lended themselves to it. And you open up the book, and what you've got here is space for a 6x4 photo. And what I have done in a couple of places through this book, I've used some photos of my grandparents just to give you some ideas of what it might look like with photos in it. But this page is just flat. I haven't done anything fancy at all. But this here, what I've done is, you can't see it terribly well, but I've actually made an envelope. This is an envelope here, and then inside it we have got a couple of photo mats, just nice and quick and easy to put your photos on. And then I have done lots and lots of fussy cutting and decorated up the front as well, and layered quite a lot of it up. So that's the first page. You turn it over, and then what we've got here is another flip up flap, and then open up these two bits here. And like I said, throughout I have put a couple of photos of my grandparents. This is my granddad, my paternal father, just as he was about to go off and work in Africa. There you go. Quite unusual in those days, but that's what he did. This is another envelope, and in this book I've actually made them from scratch, and I will be showing you how to do that. And then we've got a little pull out here, little photo mat as well, just for a little bit of added interest. Turn that over, and we've got a very simple pocket, and I've used a couple of the Graphic 45 tags which I've cut down just as photo mats, and I've added some of these, some more of the ribbon on there as well. There's plenty of fussy cut items too. Over here again we've got a mirror of this first envelope that we had, but this time I've put it together a little bit differently. So we've got our front here, space for a photo there, more and more flaps, a pull-out photo mat there, still decorating the underneath, but that just looks like some extra flaps, so I'm kind of pleased with that. And then turn it over. Love this image. Open that up, and you've got space for a couple of photo mats or journaling or whatever you want to do. Over here on this bit we've got a little photo mat thing that opens out. Lots and lots of space for photos here, and that flips up, and then underneath here you can see your envelope, and there's a couple of photo mats in there as well. Now, as I said, this book is kind of really unstructured. It's not meant to be neat and tidy, it's not meant to be perfectly obvious. It's just kind of a mix and match of all different envelope sizes and styles. And then on the back here I've just got some more photo mats. Here what I've done is I've taken some of the cutter parts and I've layered them up. I've gutted some of them behind just so that I've got plenty to layer up there, because that envelope just gives us such a lovely flat space to work on. Turn that over, and I've done the same over here, and I've added I've layered up my sort of these are like stamps, aren't they, here, and then some of these gorgeous pink roses. Open that up, and there's my grandparents on their wedding day. Space for a photo. Open that up there. Now you can see the base of the envelope, and here we've got another photo mat. Okay, and actually that can go either way. It's entirely up to you which way you want to have those round. I'm going to put them that way. Over here we've got another long envelope that opens up with a photo mat inside it. Oops. Then turn that over, and what I've got here, once again, grandparents' wedding day. And then over on this page, what I've got, more layering up. We've got a little flap here that opens up to a photo mat there. Open that up again, and we've got inside here, we've got two of the tags. I haven't cut those ones down because I just wanted them to kind of peep up over the top of the book, just to show that, you know, this really wasn't formal in any way, shape or form. Now the binding is a really simple accordion binding, which I'll show you in a moment. And as I said, my closure, I'm just using a ribbon just to hold it all together. This is one of the quickest and easiest books that you can make, especially if you do a bit of cheating and use ready-made envelopes. So if you want to go off and grab some, or grab yourself some paper, come back in a minute and I'll show you how to put the book together. Okay, so I think the first thing for us to do is to make our envelopes that form the base of our book. Now what I'll do is I'll go through how to do that first, and then when we come to actually bind it all together, I'll go through how you can bind this book if you are going to be using your own ready-made envelopes. Okay, so I'm going to be using this really old first time round Nutcracker Sweet collection paper that I've got left over from a previous life. I have quite a few sheets of this left over, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting out for my envelopes. Now do bear in mind as well, to some degree, that you're going to have to think about direction when you are folding and cutting your envelopes. I will say that I know that for a fact that some of mine are upside down, and there's nothing that I can do about that, but you can always cover it. For example, here, this one I think is probably a prime example. You can see a lot of this that I needed to be the right way up. This is the back of page 2. But when you turn it onto the front, because of the flap, it's upside down, which you can just cover that with, you know, flowers or whatever. You can't see it so much under here because I deliberately covered that up just to show you that you know, that does happen, but do bear that in mind. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out all 6 of my envelopes. I've used 6. You can use 4, you can use 10, it doesn't matter, it's all exactly the same process. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I am going to cut. This is I've referred to each envelope as a page, so I've got page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to work now. Page 1 and page 3 are actually exactly the same in terms of making and cutting, so I'm going to cut those out first. So those are 2 at 6 by 6 inches. Okay, so that's 2 at 6 by 6. I then want you to cut 1 at 8 by 8 inches. Now make sure you keep all your offcuts, because you'll be using those for all sorts of flips and flaps and all sorts of things. So I've got 2 at 6 by 6 and 1 at 8 by 8. I then want 1 at 9 by 9. And then I want 2 at 9.5 by 9.5. So that's 2 at 9.5 by 9.5. Okay. Right, now we're going to make the envelopes in 2 ways. There's 2 very distinct types of envelopes here, and I've called them different things. I've called this one even though it's not square, I've called it a square envelope, and that's because it kind of folds in a sort of a square, for want of a better description. So this is a square envelope, and this is like a very traditional sort of envelope shape that you can see there. This one I've called a long envelope because it's got much more of a long envelope shape to it. So pages 1 and 3 are what I've called square envelopes. So if we start with that paper, we've got 2 at 6 by 6. Now what we need to do is find the middle first of all. So I'm going to grab my ruler, which I had. There it is. And I'm just going to find out where the middle is, which will be at 3 by 3, which is there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold in that corner to that middle point there, okay, and then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side so that those two corners meet each other. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to find the middle point along there, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's 2 and 1/8, which is about there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring this point up to there, like that, okay? And that, as you can see, is starting to make my envelope shape. Now I want to get rid of this bit here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark where that space is across there. I'll just grab my trimmer really quickly. Oops, avalanche of paper. Stay. And I'm just going to cut that off. Like that. Okay, so when I fold that up, you can see I've got a very traditional envelope shape there. And then what I'm going to do is just fold that over like that, so that forms the top part of the envelope. Now, just to make it all kind of nice and tidy, I'm going to just snip off that corner there. So we've got this bit of our envelope. I'm going to open that up and I'm going to snip off that little corner just to get rid of some of the bulk. So let's just snip that off there and snip that off there. So now I can put my envelope together like that and it's much less bulky. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here, hopefully. Gonna glue that there. I'll just get my bone folder, which is presumably also buried. Here it is. And just make sure that that's all nice, sharp creases. Okay, so that is envelope number 1. While we're here, just because it shows you again, I'm going to show you how to make envelope number 3 because it's exactly the same. So the first thing I'm going to do is just mark the middle, which obviously is at 3 inches. Like that. I'm going to fold that corner in there like that. And I'm going to fold that corner in there like that, so the tips are touching. Okay, let's find the middle point here, which was 2 and 1/8 of an inch there, and I'm going to point that point up to that dot that I've just made there like that. Okay, and that makes my nice envelope shape. I'm just going to chop these off. I know I'm doing it in a slightly different order, but it doesn't really matter. So let's take those corners off there. Like that. Okay, there is our envelope. We need to take that bit off. Okay, so let's glue that down. And let's fold that over to form our envelope. Okay, dead easy. So those are our two envelopes. That's actually envelope page 1 and page 3. Now our page 2 envelope is 8 by 8 inches, which is this one here, and this is what I call a long envelope. So for a long envelope you are going to need a scoreboard. So if you grab your scoreboard, we are going to first score the sides. So this is going to be the way up of the envelope, okay? But we're going to score the sides, and we're going to score on the 8-inch side, so that means 8 inches at the top. We're going to score at 1/2 inch, and we're going to score at 7.5 inches, okay? Turn that around 90 degrees, so we're then scoring on the other 8-inch side, and we're going to score at 2.5 inches and at 6 inches, okay? So I don't know how well you can see this, but I've got some bits here. I've got 3 areas here and then 2 1/2-inch down the side. But now I need to cut some of these off. So I'm going to start in the bottom right hand corner, and I'm going to cut that off. So I'm going to snip on that score line all the way up to that first score line there, and I'm just going to cut at a bit of an angle like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do exactly the same at the top. So I'm going to cut up to there at a bit of an angle, and I'm going to cut on that score line down like that. Okay, so you can see what we've got here is a bit of a tab, and I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So I'm going to snip that off on the score line, and then the same on the top here, like that. Okay, so what we've got is a piece that looks like that. We need to then fold on these score lines here so that our flaps point in. Okay, we might as well burnish those while we're here. Then we're going to fold that up, and as you can see now, we've got a very definite envelope shape, and if I fold that on top, you can see absolutely definitely an envelope. So if you want to, you can round these corners. I'd love to, except I have no idea where my corner rounder is. I don't know how I keep losing stuff here. I'll use the old one. Old Faithful, which keeps breaking on me, it's so old. Okay, so I've got that, and now I'm just going to put some glue there and there, just to hold that in place like that. Okay, so that is what I call a long envelope. So now what we've got are pages 1, 2 and 3. Okay, right, page 4 is another long envelope, and this was 9 by 9 inches. Okay, and we're going to make it in exactly the same way. So grab your scoreboard and score. Remember, it's this way up, score at 1/2 inch and 8.5 inches, and then I want you to score at 2.5 and 6.5 inches. Okay, there we go. Oh, light's a bit bright in here now. Sunshine's coming out typically after it's been pouring down all day. So we're going to do the same. Let's snip off up that score line like that, and then again at the top. Okay, so that looks like that. Snip that side off like that. And then the same on that side there. Okay. Right, so fold those flaps in like that. We're going to fold that one up like that. We're going to fold that one down like that. Okay, so that is forming another long envelope. So I'm just going to round the corners of the top flap. I'm going to put some glue. There. Fold that up. And you can see I've got my 4th envelope there. Now our next 2 envelopes are both exactly the same size. They're both 9.5 inches square. But we're going to make one into a long envelope and one into what I've called a square envelope. So let's find the middle first. So half of 9.5, oh God, half of 9 is 4.5. So 4 3/4. Let's see if my maths is anything like right. 4 3/4. 4 3/4. Oh, it would appear that actually my maths isn't too bad. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold that corner into my middle point there like that. And I'm going to do the same over here like that. Now this is going to be a different measurement than the original one. That space across there is, I can't see, hang on, is 6 3/4. So halfway is going to be 3 3/8 of an inch, I think. I think that's about there. Does that look like it's the middle? Wow, I'm good at this math stuff. Okay, so that piece folds up to there like that. Okay. Let's measure that to cut it off, or at least make a mark. So let's cut that off. Okay. And I want to cut that weird little corner off. Stop it being so bulky. Okay, so that is going to fit on there like that. Lovely. There we go. Let's glue that down. Okay, and then I'm going to fold that over to make a proper envelope shape. Like that. Let's hope that's square-ish. not too bad. And let's burnish. Okay, so my 6th envelope is also 9.5 by 9.5. But what I'm going to want to do now is grab my scoreboard, and I'm going to score on the 9.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 9 inches. Turn it round, and then I'm going to want to score at 2.5 and at 7. I'm just going to cheat a bit, make sure that, yeah, that'll do. Right. Okay, so what I've got to do now is just cut these funny little corners off here. So I'm just going to score, just going to cut along that score line. Just cut that off. Same up the top here. Same on this side. Like that, and the same like that. So fold these flaps in at the side like that. We're going to fold that up like that, and hopefully this will fold down and cover like that. Okay, so here we go. Let's burnish that like that. Put some glue on there. And we have all 6 of our envelopes made. Now you can put these in any order you like. It doesn't actually make any difference to the book itself. But I'm going to go in the same one that I used in my original. So envelope 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now obviously each of these envelopes has got an awful lot of flips and flaps on it, but I want to put these into the book before we start to do that. So when I come back, if you're using your own envelopes, the next bit will be of particular interest to you. Okay, so we've made our envelopes. These are some pre-made envelopes that I had in my stash. You can tell I like Graphic 45, can't you? So I've got some Graphic 45 square envelopes. I've just got some long coloured ones that I grabbed. And I'm going to tell you how you work out the size of your cover, which you will need to cut out of grey board. I've used 1500 microns, which is about 1.5 millimeters thick, which is, I don't know in inches, not very thick. What should we go for? 2 millimeters, something like that. 2 centimeters, 1/8 of an inch. I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the way that you work out the size of your cover is this. I'm just going to grab a piece of card that I can write on. We've all got our little pieces, haven't we? And I am going to measure the length of my longest envelope and the height of my tallest envelope. So, using these pre-made envelopes as an example, this is clearly my longest envelope. I'm going to measure that, and it measures 8 3/4 inches. So 8 3/4 inches. Okay. The height, clearly this envelope is taller. So the height of that envelope is 5 1/4 inches. 5 1/4 inches. So the size of my grey board, I will need 2 pieces at 8 3/4 by 5 1/4 inches if I'm using my own envelopes. Okay, that's how I work out the size that I need for my cover. I take the length and the height of the largest. Okay, this one, looking at these, this is my longest envelope. This is, let's have a look, 8.5. What have I said for, let's have a look. The length, why is it always the last bit? Have I not cut that, done that one out? Okay, hold on while I just grab it up from somewhere else just to make sure that my sizes are right. So my length is 8.5. Yes, that's good. So this is this one. My length, my longest envelope is 8.5. My tallest envelope is this one here. And that is 5 inches. Okay. Let's just double check because I'd hate to get this wrong. Okay, so my book is going to be 8.5 by 5 inches. Okay, so if I grab myself a couple of pieces of grey board, I am going to cut those out. So I'm going to get my dodgy piece of my old I always keep a spare blade. Let's cut this at 8.5 by 5 inches. Okay, so five by 8.5. And my other one, five by 8.5. Now, I always keep my bits of grey board to use instead of sticky foam pads to raise things up, because I hate having sticky fingers. I know, weird, isn't it? But there we go. Right, I'm going to sneeze. Pardon me. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cover these, and I'm going to do that by putting some double-sided tape along. I'm only spaced this out a lot because I haven't got much tape left, but you can put it as close as you like. I haven't got enough to do it, I don't think. You can put them as close as you like because it's only holding the pattern paper in place, really. And this is the same no matter whether you're using your own envelopes or pre-made envelopes, okay? From this point on, the process is exactly the same. The only thing that will be slightly different is the size of your hinges, but we'll come to that in a moment. Okay, so let me just take that off. Oh, I need nails. Okay, let's get some pattern paper. I'm going to lay that down on there like that. Let's change my blade back over. Oh, I'm sorry about the light in here. It's been a very strange day. My neighbour's been having carpets put in and they've been banging, so I couldn't film when I wanted to, which was somewhat unfortunate. So now it's the wrong time of day and there's bad light, but never mind. You'll just have to appreciate the evening sunshine with me. So exactly the same process for this side. Let's take the backing off. There we go. Mite of that corner. Just rough miter it. Oh. I always like to start with the ends, so I'm going to fold those over. I like to use a little bit of double-sided tape just to hold the paper in place while the wet glue dries. So a little bit of tape and some wet glue. Fold that over like that. There we go. Ends are done nicely. Same on this side. So fold over that end and that end. A little bit of tape. We go. Okay, and now we're going to fold over those top bits. So I'm just going to snip those ends off. Like that. Okay, and then we're going to fold over these top and bottom bits like that. And we're going to glue them down. A little bit of tape to hold it in place. Like that. Let's fold that over. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go off and I'm going to do the other one so that I've got my 2 covers nicely done. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk to you about how we do the binding and putting the book together. This will differ ever so slightly between pre-made and your own made envelopes, but it's only one measurement and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so the next thing that I want to show you how to do is the spine. Now this is the covers, these are the covers that I've just done, and I've just popped my envelopes in there so you can see that it all fits really nicely without any kind of, you know, sticky outy bits. And if I was making a cover for this one, I'd do that in exactly the same way. But what we want to do now is we want to make the hinge, which is this here's one I made earlier, this very simple accordion hinge like this. Now, this hinge fits this book, because the height of the hinge, this is the only thing that will change, providing you're only putting 6 pages in or 6 envelopes in, is the height of your hinge needs to be the height of your highest envelope. So as we remember that in this case, that was 5 1/4 inches. So our hinge for this particular one would be 5 1/4 inches by 7 inches. Okay, so because it's an accordion hinge, what you need to remember is that for each page, each envelope, you need 1 inch, because this is scored every 1/2 inch. Okay, but you need 1 inch per envelope plus 1 inch over. So for instance, if I was making a book that had 8 envelopes, 8 pages, I would make this at the height of my highest envelope, which is 5 1/4 in this case, plus 9 inches. So it'd be 5 1/4 plus 9, because I've got 8 pages, so that's 8 inches plus 1 inch for my endy bits. Okay, so it's 1 inch per page. If you've got 10 pages, not that I'd advise it, but if you've got 10 pages, it would be 5 1/4 by 11 inches. I hope that's making sense. But that is how you decide on the size of the hinge for your book. Now this book, as you know, that I'm making here, this has got 6 pages. And the height is, I think, I'm going to have to check, 5 inches. Yeah. So my hinge, let me just see if I've got anything that's wide enough that I've used before. No, let's start a new one. So let's see what this is. So I'm going to cut this, my hinge is going to be 5 inches, because that is the height of my highest, my tallest envelope, by 7 inches, which is the number of pages per inch plus 1 inch. So that's 6 pages plus 1 inch equals 7. Okay, so this is my hinge piece. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my scoreboard. I'm going to sigh because I've lost my embossing tool. Here it is. And I'm going to score every 1/2 inch. So I'm going to score on the 7 inch side. Okay, so the number of pages, which was 6 plus 1 inch, that's the bit that goes at the top. Okay, so we're going to score 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/2 inches, 2 inches, 2 1/2 inches, 3 inches, 3 1/2 inches, 4 inches, 4 1/2 inches, 5 inches, 5 1/2 inches, 6 inches, 6 1/2 inches. Okay, you'll probably see it better on this side, pardon me. So what you've got here are score marks every 1/2 inch. And what I want you to do now is fold that one up first. Okay, this is going to be the bit that you see. This is the inside of my hinge, so make this bit the bit that you see. Fold the first one up, and then I want you to fold the rest of them in an accordion style. So that means just fold them backwards and forwards on each other. Okay, very easy. Right, all the way along. just folding backwards and forwards on each other, so you've got that nice accordion hinge going on. Okay, you can burnish this if you want to as well, but what you've got now, as you can see, is that accordion hinge there. Okay, now I want to put my pages in, but I want to start from the back because it's easier. So if I just grab my envelopes in the order that I want to put them in from the back, I've got a choice here because, as you know, this is the height of our tallest envelope. So you can put, if you've got an envelope that isn't that tall, you can put it anywhere on that hinge. You can put it at the top, you can put it at the bottom, you can put it in the middle. So this one, which was my last piece that I made, I'm going to glue onto this hinge here, and you know what, I'm going to glue it at the bottom because why not? So just to be clear, you've got this hinge here, that single hinge, that is going to attach to our cover, so don't put anything on it. Then we've got this V here, so don't stick anything on there, but I want you to stick on here. Okay, so not on there, but on here. Okay, so I'm going to stick that on there like that. I'm not going to glue it tight up to where the fold is because it's just going to get in the way, but I'm just going to put some glue onto the edge of my envelope, and I'm going to glue that onto my hinge like that there. Okay, so that is my first page in my hinge. Okay, this piece, we don't want to put anything on it, but going to the next bit of the hinge, so you see I've got nothing on there, and then I've got something on this piece, nothing on there, but I want to put something on this piece here. My next one, this is my tall envelope, so that is going to fit exactly on there. Now, on my original, I did it this way round, which is absolutely fine because I wanted this so that I could put some decoration on it. But just bear in mind that when you glue it on there, you're going to lose the ability to open up that envelope. So what you're going to need to do is cut it, okay? So if you just make a little mark there and just cut it, your envelope, that will then open like that when that envelope is glued into your book, okay? So I'm going to put some glue onto that hinge because I know this is the full height. And I'm going to stick my envelope page on there like that. Okay, line it up. Make sure everything's straight. Okay, make sure that opens all right. So now I've got my next page. Okay, now this one, I'm going to put that, I'm going to put it at the top. Why not? But you can put it anywhere you like. So that's going to go on the next hinge at the top like that. Then I've got one of my little ones. I'm going to put that at the top too. Actually, I might just put that. Yeah, I'll put it at the top. You can put them anywhere you like. This one I'm deliberately putting in the middle because when I added an insert to it, I deliberately made it longer than my envelope. So this one I need to make sure I'm not putting exactly at the bottom. So I'm going to put that kind of half and half, something like that. Okay, like that. Oh, light's coming in again. And then my final piece, I'm going to pop down at the very bottom of that hinge down there, like that. Okay, So what I've got now are all the pages in my book. Oh, that's sunshine. All the pages in my book like that. I don't know if you can see, but basically they are glued onto every alternate top hinge. Okay, so I've got this, which is where it's going to attach to my book cover, and then I've got a page there, a page there, a page there, 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 and there. Okay. Right, I found it easiest to put my cover on next rather than do all the flippy flappy bits. I found it a lot easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue onto that hinge, onto the outside of that hinge there, and I'm going to attach my cover. Okay, so this cover is going to go right at the edge. It's going to line up right to the edge of that cover. Okay, so when I open it, it's going to be like that with my accordion opening there. Okay, same on the back. I'm going to put some glue onto that hinge there, and I'm going to attach my back cover there like that. Just make sure it all lines up, and then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it just to settle itself for a few minutes. So I'm going to just clip that on like that, and I'm going to leave that to one side. Okay, so next what I want to do is cut out the spine piece that goes around our book here, which will keep it all from flopping open and all over the place. Now, I'm going to tell you how I work mine out. If you're not following this tutorial and doing it yourself, your spine obviously needs to be the height of your book times a decent amount going around. So I have suggested that mine is cut at 5 by 3 inches, which would be pretty much enough to deal with 6 pages. If you're going 7 pages, 8 pages, add on another ½ an inch as you go. But what I've actually done with it here, and I'll show you, is that I have used the scoreboard just to emboss every ½ an inch here, so that it looks a little bit more curved. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to just put my book to one side. I'm going to grab my trimmer, because I need to cut that out first, don't I? And as I recall, that was 5 inches, but I better just double check, because that would be embarrassing. So that's 5 inches, and I need to cut my spine piece at, let's have a look what I've got here, 5 inches by 3 inches. So let's cut that at 5 inches by 3 inches. Okay, and that is going to be my wraparound. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my scoreboard, but I want this to be on the outside of my spine. So I'm going to turn it over so that when I emboss, you know, with my embossing tool, when I score, you're going to see the lines bumpy. Okay, so I want it so that my lines are bumpy on the outside. So I'm putting it face down. Okay, so I am going to score at ½ an inch, and then I'm going to score every ½ an inch until there's ½ an inch left. So I'm going to score at ½ an inch, 3/4, 1, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, 2, 2 1/4, 2 1/2. Okay, so what I've got here is my spine that's got a ½ inch on either side. Okay, I'm just going to put my scoreboard away a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to fold on these because it's already curving, except the only places I'm going to fold is on those 2 1/2-inch pieces there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, this is going to be a little bit strange, but bear with me. I'm just going to put half of this on. So I'm just going to put glue on the inside on that first 1/2 inch score, and I'm going to put that right to the edge of my book. So that is just going to stick so that in here, that is where my score lines start. Okay, and eventually I'm going to glue that on there, but at this point I'm just going to glue it to that point. So if I want to decorate up my cover, I can do, because I've already put this on, but I don't like, this is going to sound a little bit strange, but I don't like to put that on until the end. Okay, I'm weird like that. Okay, so what I want to do now is actually go and have a look through my book, and I want to decorate it up, and I want to add some more flips and flaps. Now you can see mine's kind of starting to splurt all over the place. Don't worry about that at all. Basically the spine is getting used to how it will be, and once it's all the bits are added on, and once we've put this bit of spine on, it'll all sit quite nicely. Thank you very much. So don't worry if it just goes everywhere at the moment, that is absolutely fine. So what I've done is I've cut some pattern paper, and I've just covered the insides of my front and back covers. But here, if I just take you through, I'll show you. What I've done is I've added extra flips and flaps to these existing envelopes. So when I open this up, I've added a little flap here onto this flap here, which gives me just a little bit of extra room, and that is a pull-out insert. Okay, and then there's another pull-out insert behind. So if I start off by just showing you how I've put that together, so we've got that there, and then turn it over, and I've got this bit that opens up, and I've got those 2 bits behind. That's my granddad. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the parts for that. So if I grab my trimmer, put that to one side, I'm going to grab my trimmer, and I am going to get some of this pattern paper, and I've got loads of bits left over, remember, and I am going to cut one at, let me just double check this, because I think I've added something in I probably didn't need to, 4 1/4 by 3. So I'm going to cut one at 4 1/4 by 3. Okay, so 4 1/4 by 3. And then I want to cut my inserts, and I want to cut one at 4 by 6 inches. So I want to cut one at 4 by 6 inches. Now, if you've got your own envelopes, you can just basically go off and measure and put flips and flaps and all sorts of bits on. You know, you get the idea, I am sure. Okay, then I want to cut one at 3 3/4 by 3 5/8. So let's just see which way round that is. Some of these sizes will be a little bit odd, because when you notice on the back, we've lost 1/2 inch off that side. You see there, this 1/2 inch here, where our hinges are, we've lost that on the back. So it's not quite as simple as just cutting out the same sized pieces. So let me just check this size. 3 3/4 by, yep, 3 1/2. Ooh, squished that. So let's have a look. So 3 3/4. Three 3/4 by 3 5/8. That will become clear why that's a bit of an odd number. And then I want to cut 2 at 3 inches squared. Okay, so let's see what I've got left over here. See what I've got, and I can cut at 3 inches squared, and I want 2 of those. Okay, right, so if I grab my scoreboard, let's start with this one. This doesn't need any scoring, that first piece that we cut, but this second piece, oh, I've lost one. I don't know how this happens. I've literally just had it in my hand, haven't I? So where's it gone exactly? Who knows? It's gone forever. Try a different one. Oh, I don't like this one. Anyway, this one, which was 4 by 6, we're going to score on the 6-inch side at 3 inches. Okay, so that's just going to fold over like that. Then we have got this piece, which was that really odd size of 3 3/4 by 3 5/8, and I want you to put it on the 3 5/8 of an inch side. Okay, and I want you to score at 1/2 inch. And I want you to score at 5/8 of an inch. So what we're going to have is a little gusset. Okay, so we've got 2 parallel score lines. I don't know if you can see them here. We've got 2 parallel score lines there, and that's going to form a little bit of a gusset. And we're going to do exactly the same on these. Now, bear in mind that when these are on the page, they are going to be on either side. They're going to be opposite sides to each other. So I'm going to score at 1/2 and at 5/8 of an inch on that one, and on this one I am going to score at 2 1/2 and 2 3/8 of an inch, only simply because that makes it easier for me to know how to put it onto my page. Okay, so where's my little book? Here we go. If I open that up, my first page here, which I'm going to round the corners of the bottom of this like that. Okay, so I've rounded my corner, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this onto the top of that envelope, onto that flap. Okay, so you see this flap here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue on there like that, and I'm going to pop that on there like that. So I've now got a, if it glues, hold on, let's try and get it to stay. Okay, so that is going to open up like that. All right, so that's my flap. This piece that I've got, I think I'll just round those corners too. And let's fold that in half and just burnish. That I'm going to slip inside that envelope there like that. Okay, there we go. So that sits on top of each other, and I've got all those little flaps going on there. So if I turn that over now, what I want to do is put some stuff on the back. And I've got these 2 pieces which go side to side, which were the ones that we just cut and scored. So I'm just gonna round my corners, which are the opposite corners to where the score lines are. So if I fold on those score lines and burnish, make sure that I burnish on the gusset. Okay, what I will have is a flap with a little gusset like that, which means that I can put something a little bit more dimensional underneath here. Okay, so that is going to sit there, and this one is going to sit on the other side like that there. So let me just stick those on. Now when you're sticking this one on that goes on the right, make sure that you're not going over your hinge, okay? So this is where the hinge is, but I'm going to stick it down here. So that is going to fit on there like that, okay? Right, slightly down from the top, just ever so slightly down, all right? And now I'm going to stick this one on the other side. That is going to go on there like that. Okay, so I've got my two flaps that go on the back there like that. This one has got the flap at the top. So if I just fold on those score lines and burnish. Oh, pressed too hard on that one. This is going to fit on there like that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to open these up. I'm going to put some glue there, and I'm going to put this in the middle like that. So those will shut and that will go over the top like that. Okay, so that is my page 1. Now you will find as you decorate this up that these become thicker and thicker, and it's really going to bulk out our book. I think what I'm going to do actually is just cut out the pieces for here, because that's annoying me because it looks really untidy. So 8.5 by 5, wasn't it? Let's have a look. Okay, so let's stick those down. Now you can always put little tuck spots and things on here if you want to. I just put a photograph straight down on there. But a tuck spot would be just fine. Oh, doesn't that look tidier? And let's put one on the back here as well. Oh, I didn't stick that down very well, did I? There we go. Pop that on there like that. Okay, so that's nice and tidy. Alright, so we've got my page 1 done. What I want to do now is look at page 2. So what we've got going on page 2 is we have got, and this is why I put it in the middle, we've got this pull out here that I've made that is shorter on one side than the other, so it kind of hangs down a little bit. But like I said, if you're using your own envelopes, you've just got to think of ways of making flips and flaps. So that goes there, and then on the back what we've got is I've got space for a couple of the tags that I've popped there. So I'm going to work on that now. So let's put my book to one side, grab my trimmer, and I am going to cut one at 6.5 by 7.5 inches. Pardon me. So 6.5 is going to be the width, I think. Better just check that, hadn't I? No, it is 6.5. 6.5 by 7.5. Okay, that's my insert. And then the pocket that goes on the back is 7.5 by 3 inches. So that's 7.5 by 3. And I think I'll use one of these pieces here. So 7.5 by 3. Okay. So scoreboard, don't know why I put it over that side. First of all, I'm going to score on the insert, and I'm going to score on the 7.5 inch side, so that means 7.5 inches across the top there. Look what I found. And I am going to score at 4.25 inches. Now, let me think about this. I'm going to do it that way round because I want this long piece, the longer piece, I want it to be at the front. Okay, so just bear in mind when you're scoring which way round you want your paper. Now this is just a very, very simple pocket, so we're going to score on the 7.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 7 inches. And then we're going to score on the 3 inch side at 1/2 inch. Nice and easy. So my insert, I'm going to find my bone folder because I saw it earlier. I'm just going to burnish that really well. And just because I can, I'm going to round those corners. Like that, and I'm going to pop that into my book. So that is going to open up like that. That is going to sit in there, hopefully. Ooh. Too much glue. Like that. So that my insert, as you can see, is longer than my envelope, but it's not too long that it comes out of the bottom of the book. Okay, so this envelope, if you remember, I put that halfway up. So now I need to put in my little pocket. So I've got this piece which I have scored, and what I want to do now is miter the corners. So I'm going to take off this little square here, and to do that I'm going to snip up to where the score lines intersect. I'm going to change the angle of my scissors, and I am going to miter it, but with a bit of a kink in it so that it's not straight, because that way we avoid kind of bulgy corners, which isn't something that we really want. So let me just burnish those. I'm going to grab my book. Let's open it up, and I'm going to pop that on the bottom there like that. Okay, so some glue on there. Pop that on there. That just goes up to where the back of the hinge is, if you're wondering. Now, if you're using Graphic 45 regular tags like I did, you will need to cut them down. So the ones that I've got here, these aren't full size. I've cut them down so that they fit in. Okay, you get the idea. Right, okay, so that's page 2. Page 3, which is another one of our little envelopes, we are going to grab our trimmers. I don't know why I'm using this one. Never mind. And we are going to cut 2. Let me just show you it first so you know what we're doing actually. So page 3, we've got this flap, and we've got this insert. And then on the back, we've just got that long flap there, okay? So we are going to cut 2 at 4 by 6 inches. So 2 at 4 by 6 inches. Okay. And then we are going to cut one at 4 1/4 by 2 1/2. So 4 1/4 by 2 1/2. Okay. Right. So this is really easy and straightforward. If you grab your scoreboard, we'll start off with the 2 pieces that were 4 by 6, and we're going to score on the 6-inch side at 3 inches. So we're going to score so it's directly in half, okay? The same on both of them. This last piece, we are going to score. Remember where the flap's going, so the flap needs to go on the left-hand side. So I'm going to score that flap at 1/2 inch. Okay, very easy. So I'm now going to fold on my score lines like that, burnish, and I am going to round my corners because I can. Now, page 3 or envelope 3. Okay, we have got an insert that fits in there like that, I hope. Okay, so that's nice and easy. The other insert, what we want to do is glue it to that envelope flap so it's sitting directly above the insert that we've just put in. Okay, so I'm going to get some glue. I'm going to add it onto the outside of that envelope flap like that, and I'm going to put, I'm going to do it this way around so I can see what I'm doing. I am going to put my, this is the fold on top of that flap like that, sitting nicely on top of that envelope like that. So what I've got here is I've got a flap that opens up like that, and then I've got my pull-out insert. Turn that over, and this piece sits on there. So just a little bit of glue on that flap, and I'm going to put it right in the middle like that on top there. So that is going to open just like that. Okay, I'll be right back in a minute and we'll get on with the next page. Okay, so page 5, we're just working on the back, which is nice and quick and easy. So I want you to cut one at 6 1/2 by, which I've got loads of this paper in it, 6 1/2 by 5 5/8. So 6 1/2 by 5 5/8. So 6 1/2 by 5 5/8. Then I want you to cut one at 6 5/8 by 5 inches. So 6 5/8 by 5 inches. Now, if you're following my cutting guide, I will just say that when I tell you a size, I'm always going to talk about the across first. So 6 5/8 is the width of the piece, and 5 inches is the height. Okay, then for your insert into your envelope, this is your photo mat. I want you to cut one at 6.5 by 4.5. Ooh, avalanche. So 6.5 by 4.5. I have a feeling I've missed a bit out. We shall soon find out. So my insert, my photo mat, I'm just going to round the corners on that one, and I might just as well pop it straight into my book. So if I open up onto this one, if you remember, I'm leaving this page blank because I'm going to decorate it up, and then that is going to fit nicely. No, it's not, it's too wide. No, it is. It's going to fit, of course. Need to snip that across. Let's try it without my glasses, because I cut that off, didn't I? So you know where we cut up, cut across as well, so you've got that whole opening. Pop that in there like that. There we go. So now, pardon me, we've got these two pieces, so we're going to need our scoreboard and our embossing tool, or whatever we use to... Anybody got any idea what I might have done with it this time? Here we go. Right, so let's have a look. We've got this piece, which is 6 5/8 by 5.5. Was that the first one? 6 5/8. No, that was the second piece. So let's start with the first piece that we cut, which was 6.5. Yes, by 5 5/8. I want you to score on the 5 5/8 inch side. So that means 5 5/8 at the top. I'm looking at the wrong one. Right, 6.5. Yes, 6.5 by 5 5/8. That's this one. I am going to score on the 5 5/8 inch side. So that's 5 5/8 inch at the top, at 1/2 inch, and then also at 5/8 of an inch, because I want a little bit of a gusset. So I've got two parallel score lines going on there. Okay. Then this one, which was 6 5/8 by 5, I'm going to score, and my flap is going to go on, oh, the lights. I'm going to go, hang on. It's better. I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, and I'm going to score at 5/8 of an inch. Okay. So while I'm here, I might, oops, just as well throw things at myself. I'm just going to round those corners on the opposite side from the scores, and the same on this one. And I'm going to fold, and I'm going to burnish. So let's just see if I plug in this light. Let's see if this is any better, although being an LED, I think it's going to be the same. Could be worse. Right, so let's burnish. Okay, so I've got my little gusset like that, and then this one goes at the top. So if I fold on that score line, burnish, and then the other score line and burnish, I can then glue these into my book. So this bit, as you remember, I'm leaving that clear. So what I'm going to do is I am going to glue this piece onto this side here. So I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to lift that up and I'm going to pop that on there like that onto the far left hand side. Okay, now we're going to have a little bit of a problem in theory. I'm just going to chop that off. Okay, so that lines up with the bit of I don't know what you call that, the bit that comes down. Okay, so that's going to fit on there like that. Now, really, ideally, we need to make sure that this has got a bit of a gusset in it as well. So this is where it gets a little bit trickier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold a little gusset let's try and see if we can score it. It might be easier said than done. Yeah. I want you to fold this so we've got a little gusset at the top. Okay, so that'll fold over nicely because with having a gusset on this side, that's made it rise up a bit. So this one, we are going to glue this onto the back here. Now, we're not going to need glue all the way along. Let's just stick that on there like that. At the top. Some glue on there. Close that up. Like that. Okay, and that is our flap over the top, and then we've got that one, and these can actually go whichever way you like. They can go either way. Okay, now our final piece is this one here, which we've got. This is, I've just left this as a very simple envelope. And we've got here, we've got a photo mat that just slips in there. So that's very quick and easy and simple. And then on the back, we've got two things. We've got this pulley out like that. And here we've got a little pocket that I've put full size tags in so that they come over the top a bit. Okay. Right. So let's put these to one side while that all dries. And I am going to cut one at 8x4, which is my insert. So let's see if I've got a piece that will do for that. Doesn't look like it. So let's go. Eight by 4. So I'm just going to pop that in. So that goes in there like that. And then on the back, we need to cut a piece that is 12 by 4.5 inches. And then I want you to cut one that is 9 by 3 inches. Okay, so 9 by 3 inches. Right, scoreboard. Our piece that was 12 by 4.5, we're going to score on the 12-inch side. We're going to score at 4, and we're going to score at 11.5 inches. Okay, the piece that is 9 by 3, we're going to score on the 9-inch side at 1/2 inch and at 8.5 inches. And then we're going to score on the 3-inch side at 1/2 inch. Okay, so this piece, this is going to fold in a bit of a weird way. So what we want to do is fold this like that. So that's the 4-inch piece, and then back like that. Okay. Around those edges there. And we'll glue this in first. So as I look at the back here, I'm going to glue that on there like that. So some glue, whoops, on there like that. Glue it right to the edge of the back of that envelope. Let's try and get it lined up. It looks tidy. And then I need to put my pocket in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to miter these corners, take off that square where the score lines intersect, and I'm going to do it not straight but with a bit of a kink in it. Fold on those score lines. See if it fits. Yep, that's going to fit exactly in between the hingey bit. Pop that on the bottom there. Glue that down, and that is our book put together. Now, I found it easier personally to decorate it all up before I added this last bit in. At the moment it looks really thin, but I guarantee you as soon as you start decorating this up, it is going to expand hugely. So once it's all decorated up, my final piece was literally to just put some glue, line it up to that 1/2 inch score, that first score that we did, with the edge of the cover, the hard cover, and then there's the book. So at the moment it doesn't look like it's going to expand much, but trust me, it really will. So that is how to put together a little book with lots of envelopes. Like I said, you can use ready-made envelopes. You don't have to use you know, these you don't have to make your own. If you've got lots of ready-made ones, then you can absolutely do that. And that is how we put it together. So I hope you've had fun with this. I would absolutely love to see what you're making, so do put them into the Graphic 45 group. It would make me really happy to see if you've had a go at this. I'll be sure to respond to everybody who has a go at making a book. because I really appreciate that. It means a lot, and I love to see what you do with the papers that you use. Makes me really excited. So thank you very much for bearing with me for this class. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will be back really soon, I hope, with another one. So take care, everybody. Go and cut into that graphic 45. Don't just stash it. Bye.